So I get so geeked out in films. I get these things called nerd tears, and there's this awesome sequence. I know. And when you slid under that door as it was closing, I was like geeking out.
Cool,
so
man.
how do you shoot that moment? Is it really closing? Is it CGI?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah, so it was a closing green screen, and we did it like 7 times.
You did it. He just ran and slid underneath.
Yeah, there was a few, because Wes is so funny. I mean, this is why I love him, and also like why he drives me crazy. But like he kept asking me, so classic Wes. He kept going, "Can you just cut it a little closer?" And I was like, "I think I'm gonna hit it if I do, and if I hit it, I would have broke it." So it was actually a big deal. Luckily, the first like 4 times, I was under the impression that I could hit it and it would be fine.
Oh, really?
So I was just going for it. And then the guy told me that it would actually completely
ruin the day.
Yeah, it would totally.
It's a sick shot. I mean, the shot of you actually hitting it and going under.
Yeah, and they tugged the camera too on a really. They had a really cool system for the. They just like the Grip made a really amazing pulley system, and that he had like really good control over too. And he just made this awesome camera move. Dude, I know. It was really cool how we did. That was like one of my favorite things that we did.
I want to ask you. Obviously, I love I was telling you, my girlfriend loves the show Teen Wolf and style. I was thinking about that character and what he would do if he was in the Scorch. Like
Styles?
Yeah, like how would you? I mean, he's a smart guy, obviously.
Yeah.
So what do you think what would be his mindset?
He'd be a funny addition to the Scorch. I think he'd be funny. He'd be like Thomas's Styles. Yeah. I guess because I feel like he'd play the same role. He'd be smart and would contribute and always be thinking and trying to like figure it out. But then he'd also be like freaking out and spastic and.
Dude, I'd love to see that. They should get that. They should combine the 2 characters. I love the movie Moon you did with Duncan Jones. I think it's one of my favorite movies. And I was going to ask you about working with filmmakers like that and then jumping into a massive budget environment like this. Do you bring things over from the smaller budget films that you learn there that you're still doing in a movie like this?
Yeah, definitely. I think especially with Moon, Duncan, he was like a Wes. I think they're very similar in how they work. And Duncan had this tiny budget, but you could see the power from him. You could see how genius he was and how brilliant he was, and the budget shouldn't, justify. Not justify. What's the word? Like
thinking?
Make the person.
Right.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't be what defines
the
the
determining
job.
factor.
I don't know.
What were we thinking?
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you have that kind of thrill and that passion for it, and Wes is the same. It doesn't matter what budget you have. You kind of you want to get it done. Yeah. And we forget. You step on a set. For the first day, you're like, oh wow, the sets are huge and the food's really good on this one. But after the second, third day, it doesn't matter. You're there for the work, and the environment around you could be anything. We could be doing it in this room.
Yeah, well, it's a phenomenal.
Not that this isn't a lovely room.
It's a really phenomenal film.
Dude, I liked you, man. He's wearing Converse.
That's right.
Baby.
This is
the original.
Dude.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You need to rock this one out,
Love
man.
it.
You gotta rock a Heisenberg clip, dude.
Man. Fuck Heisenberg.
Oh gosh. Ooh, there we go.
Nemesis, man.
What did you say?
Oh no,
my
we've
nemesis.
lost
I know.
him. We've lost him.
I'm flipping out.
Done.
He's gone.
When I watch your movies after Breaking Bad, I mean, it's such an iconic character, but you take on roles, and I'm assuming you want to take things that are completely different from who Gus was.
Absolutely.
So when I ask you, when I watch a movie like this, I do hear the word Hermano. I think of Los Pollos Hermanos just as a fan, but do you purposely try and stay away from anything Gus related?
I try to. I did want to play the bad guy in this, and then I quickly realized that the juice for me was to be able to play a guy that you didn't know if he was good or bad, and turns out to maybe be someone that you can trust. And so for me, I remember Lou. Was it Lou, our producer? Lee Stolman saying, "God, how did I blow that?" Okay, Lou, don't worry, Lee. Lee saying to me, the way you say that word, hermanos, it's gonna be big for this movie. Everyone's gonna be saying, "Hey, hermano, hey, hermano." I try to do something different every time.
But when you said that, I was thinking about Los Pollos Hermanos. I'm sorry. I actually went to the real restaurant, and I went to Twister's, the real place that's now the real Twister's or Los Pollos Hermanos. I had dinner there. Food was terrible, but the place was awesome. I sat in your booth.
Yep, you sat in my booth.
I sat in your booth.
See, if I had been there, you would have been hooked up.
Oh, do you go there?
Yeah, I go there all the time.
Do you like the food?
I cook for myself in the back.
This is geeking me out. The sequence when you're on that glass and the building is over and Dylan's trying to save you. How did that scene get shot? It's an amazing moment.
I got a concussion.
Really?
I got a legitimate concussion.
What you're talking about.
Yeah.
I did see that scene.
We fought. It's like this 10-minute sequence of us just like running and from these creatures, and we're going the stairwell and we're falling through. We slide down this thing, and I accidentally slide down this ramp, and I just go on glass. And that sequence was so crazy to shoot. I mean, like, I'm scrambling around, and like you saw, but I slammed onto that glass about 40 times, and on the back of my head. So I'm glad that like we wanted. But that's a testament to Wes. Is like I would slam my head on that glass 40 more times just to get, because it came out so beautifully, and you know that Wes has you when you're doing stunts like that. So yeah, that was a difficult one. I mean, we spent about 2 straight weeks in a harness, Dylan and I. So it was and that was at the tail end of it, so it was intense.
I have a Breaking Bad question for you. I'm sorry, I've been waiting to ask this for so long now. How do they shoot the moment when you have the moment that happens to you? How do they?
Off, 4-hour makeup. The wonderful work of Greg Nicotera, who designed. And,
your idea, your concept.
Yeah, my concept. Yeah, of course.
How do they do the half face?
It was makeup. It was Howard Berger came and applied another half face to my face.
Nuts.
Really, really very amazing. And of course,
because you think it's CG.
You think it's CG. And Vince came up with that great idea to have that happen, to have an explosive ending to that show, which I'm happy about.
The scene when you get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
How does that shot work? What does it look like? Do you do they launch you off something? How do they make it look like you've been hit by that?
So pretty much they had like this jump set up where I would run and jump on this trampoline kind of thing. And I would just jump. No.
They didn't.
I was like, what? I was there and I didn't see this. No, they had a rig, and so it would just pull you to the direction that they wanted the lightning to hit. And so when the light hits, it pulls you because you're on like a wire, and it pulls your whole body to the other side, and you just smack the ground.
That is so
Yeah,
sick.
it's pretty dangerous actually.
And the scene before that, like with the lightning bolts actually striking on the side of us, we did a couple takes of Wes telling us where they were going to strike. And then after a while, he was like, all right, this take you guys are just going to run. And then he just starts setting off random pops and like lightning strikes.
What are
in
the
random
pops?
places.
Are they just like
Well,
They're like explosions.
yeah,
really.
they're little firework kind of things.
Yeah, fireworks.
Right?
Yeah. It's
Dude,
like,
that is
pew!
cool, man. Can I nerd out with you about one quick thing? I've always wanted to ask you this because Love Actually is one of my favorite movies of all time. Do you have any idea maybe where Sam might be today, 13 years later? If you had to guess like where that character would be, do you think he's with that girl? Like, where do you think he is? Like, if Richard Curtis can come in and direct that movie, what would you think he'd be doing right now?
Huh. Ooh, I don't know. Drumming out in some rock band.
Do you think he's still
Long
with
hair.
Long hair.
Yeah, he'd be on tour.
Yeah.
Is he with the girl from the airport though? Do you think?
Ooh. Maybe he's touring the States. Maybe he lives out here now. Maybe he's lost his accent. He's
love
like,
that.
Someone get Richard Curtis on the phone and get this movie made immediately.
Yesterday.
Well, it's interesting when you guys have a book and you have a screenplay. There's only so much that's lent to the character that the writers have given you guys. And I'm wondering, for each of your characters, is something that you've added in personally about the person you're playing that we wouldn't know, that maybe you added in yourself?
So I try to add as much sarcasm and sass to Minho because that's what the fans like and that's what's portrayed in the books. I try to do that for the first film, and thankfully for the second film there's a lot more of that side to his character, or to him. And so that's what I try, and also I try to make him
sassy.
I try to make him always slightly annoyed at the situation, because in the first one he's just annoyed the fact that like he can't find a way out of the maze. And this one's just like, okay, now I'm in the desert and I'm still running. Okay, what am I gonna do now? And so I try to play it like that, but hopefully the fans like the sassiness.
No, it's awesome.
Of Minho, yeah.
And for you, something you have added
For
in?
me, well, I think Fry Pan and I are pretty similar. I think these guys would definitely agree. Fry Pan is definitely kind of that guy who wants to provide the lighthearted moments to the situation, knowing that we're in just like deep, just mess, and Fry Pan is always the person who tries to put a smile on the face, and that's something I definitely try to do. And plus, Fry Pan, I love to cook and I love to eat, and so Fry Pan loves to cook and loves to eat as well. So that's one thing that I try to provide about myself. So I'm fortunate enough to be very similar to my character.
And for you, buddy?
I think it was just nice to come back and make a second movie where you get the chance to take a character that you've already worked on and familiar with and put them into a whole different world and kind of play around with it. And so I don't really know what, certainly for the second movie anyway, what I added and what was kind of naturally there already. I just kind of feel quite comfortable with him. And again, I'm kind of similar-ish to Newt, I would say, as well. I just kind of enjoy just playing around with him. I don't really know the differences between me and him.